Let me ask you something. When was the last time a woman looked at you, really looked at you, and you could feel that she was genuinely drawn in, not just being polite, not just making conversation, but actually interested? If it's been a while, I want you to stay right here because what I'm about to share with you today has nothing to do with your bank account, nothing to do with how many gray hairs you have, and absolutely nothing to do with pretending to be someone you're not. My name is Dr. Nerita. I've spent the last 12 years working with men studying how health, confidence, and communication intersect as we age. And in that time, I've noticed something that most people in my field completely ignore. The men who remain genuinely attractive as they get older, the ones who walk into a room and hold attention without saying a word, they all have one thing in common. It's not their cologne. It's not their car. It's the way they communicate. Specifically, it comes down to two words, just two. And when I tell you what they are, your first reaction might be, that's it, but I need you to stay with me. Because it's not just what these words are, it's why they work. It's the neuroscience behind them. It's emotional psychology. And most critically, it's the one mistake nearly every man makes when he tries to use them. That mistake, by the way, is so subtle that most men don't even notice they're making it. But women do. Women feel it instantly. And it's the difference between being the man she thinks about at midnight and the man she forgets by Tuesday. So I want you to do me a favor before we go any further. Drop a comment below and tell me where in the world are you watching this from. I read every single one. And while you're down there, hit the like button. Because if this sounds like something that could change how you show up, it will. And I want the algorithm to put this in front of every man who needs it. Now, let's get into it. Here's the truth that nobody talks about in the dating and attraction world, especially for men over 50 or 60. Most of the advice out there was written for 25-year-olds. It's all about tactics, games, scripts designed to manipulate. And if you've ever tried any of it, you probably felt exactly like what it was: fake, uncomfortable, like wearing someone else's clothes. What I'm going to share with you today is the opposite of that. This is grounded in real psychology, real neuroscience, real clinical observation. Because after 12 years of working with men, I can tell you without hesitation, authentic masculine communication is the single most powerful thing you can develop, not just for attraction, for every relationship in your life, and it starts with two words: stay with me. Let me bust a myth right now. A big one. There is a story that gets told to men quietly, consistently, almost culturally that says, as you get older, your value goes down. That attractiveness is a young man's game. That after 50, after 60, you're competing with younger men and losing before you even start. That story is a lie. And I don't say that to make you feel better. I say that because the science completely contradicts it. Here's what actually happens in a woman's brain when she evaluates a man at any age. The primitive part of the brain, what neuroscientists call the limbic system, isn't primarily scanning for youth. It's scanning for signals, signals of stability, signals of emotional groundedness, signals that this man knows who he is and what he wants. Those signals don't diminish with age. In many men, they deepen. Think about it. The version of you at 25 was probably second-guessing himself constantly, overthinking every text message, worried about what she thought, trying to be whatever he imagined she wanted. That kind of insecurity is exhausting for everyone involved, including you. But the version of you now, you've lived. You've made decisions. You've survived hard seasons. You've had your heart broken and rebuilt it. You have something the 25-year-old version of you didn't. You have gravity. The problem is, most men don't know how to channel that gravity into communication. They either go too quiet, holding everything in, becoming emotionally distant without realizing it, or they overcorrect trying too hard, over-explaining, seeking validation in ways that undercut all that hard-earned confidence. I've watched this happen with patients across my 12 years of practice. Men who are remarkable, genuinely interesting, kind, accomplished, struggling in their personal lives because nobody ever taught them how to communicate in a way that actually lands. I had a patient, I'll call him Raymond. He came to see me originally for a health concern, but we got to talking, the way you do. Raymond was 63, widower. His children were grown. He'd been trying to meet someone for 3 years, and he said to me, "Dr. Nerita, I do everything right. I compliment her. I ask about her day. I'm never rude. I don't understand why nothing ever develops." And I asked him one question. I said, "Raymond, When is the last time you told a woman what you actually wanted directly, without hedging? He went very quiet because he couldn't remember. Raymond had been so afraid of coming across as too much, too forward, too presumptuous, too old-fashioned, that he had essentially made himself invisible. He was present in every conversation and absent from all of them. That, right there, is the real epidemic among men of a certain age. Not lack of attractiveness, not lack of worth, lack of expressed identity. And that's exactly what these two words correct. Not by turning you into someone else, but by giving you language, simple, powerful, precise language that lets the real you come through clearly. Here's a curiosity hook before we move forward. The first word is going to feel obvious, almost too obvious. But the second one is the one that creates what psychologists call an emotional anchor. And once you understand what that means and how it works, you will never approach a conversation the same way again. Let's keep going. I want to spend a moment here on science, because this isn't a theory. This isn't self-help speculation. This is grounded in how the human brain actually processes communication. When two people are having a conversation, they're not just exchanging information, they're exchanging emotional data constantly. And the female brain, this is well documented in neuroscience, is particularly attuned to what researchers call emotional congruence. That means she's not just hearing your words. She's feeling whether your words match your energy, your posture, your eyes, your breath. It's like an internal calibration system that's always running in the background. And here's what's fascinating. Most women aren't even consciously aware that they're doing it. It happens automatically, which means you cannot fake your way through it. You can't memorize a script and deliver it flatly and expect it to work. The brain detects inauthenticity the way the nose detects smoke. Before you even locate the source, you already know something's off. This is why most pickup advice fails, because it's designed to script authentic behavior. But authenticity, by definition, cannot be scripted. It has to come from a genuine internal place. So what are the two words that unlock that authentic communication? The first is, I want. I know, you were expecting something more complicated, but hear me out, because the simplicity is actually the point. When a man says, I want, clearly, directly, without apology, something immediate happens in the interaction. The ambiguity disappears. There's no more wondering, no more guessing, no more reading between lines. He has taken up space, he has asserted an identity, he has made himself known. From a neurological standpoint, this activates something called polarity. The brain naturally processes masculine energy as directive and feminine energy as responsive. I want to be clear, I'm not talking about dominance or control. I'm talking about initiative, about being the one who names the direction and then invites her into it. When you say, I'd love to take you somewhere I think you'll enjoy, are you free Saturday? You're not demanding, you're not pressuring, but you are leading. And that quality, that capacity to move forward without needing permission to want something is profoundly compelling, regardless of age. Now, here's where most men stop. They discover the power of I want, and they use it. But used alone, it can tip into self-absorption. It can feel like the man is only interested in his own agenda. And that's where the second word comes in. The second word is I appreciate. And this, my friend, is where everything transforms. I appreciate does something neurologically very specific. When genuine appreciation is expressed, not flattery, not performative, complimenting, but real, specific, observed appreciation, it activates what's known as the reward pathway in the brain. The recipient's brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, the one associated with trust, warmth, safety, and emotional intimacy. In other words, you literally trigger a neurochemical response that creates connection. But there's a critical word in that explanation: genuine. The brain is exquisitely good at detecting the difference between real appreciation and empty praise. Telling a woman she has a nice smile is a compliment. Saying, I really appreciate the way you think you have a perspective that most people don't take the time to develop. That's recognition. That's seeing someone, and being truly seen is one of the deepest human needs, for men and women alike. Now combine these two. I want and I appreciate, and something remarkable happens. You become a man who leads with purpose, but connects with depth. A man who knows what he desires, but takes the time to genuinely honor what he encounters. That combination is extraordinarily rare, and it is extraordinarily attractive. Before I show you exactly how to use these words in a real conversation, I need to address the mistakes. Because I've watched men learn this concept and still not get results, and every single time it comes back to one of these three errors. The first mistake is using the words without congruence. Here's what congruence means in practice. It means your body, your tone, and your words are all saying the same thing at the same time. If you say, I want to take you out while your shoulders are caved inward, your voice is trailing off at the end, and you're looking anywhere but her eyes, the words are completely undermined. Not just a little, completely. The female brain, as I mentioned, is running that emotional calibration system constantly, and what it reads in that moment isn't what you said, it reads what your body says. And your body said, I don't actually believe I deserve this. So before you even think about the words, you need to think about the vessel delivering them. Stand with your weight evenly distributed. Keep your chest open, not puffed up, just open. Breathe slowly. Make eye contact, not the staring contest kind, but the warm, present, I'm actually here with you kind. Let your voice land. Don't rush. When the words come from a congruent place, the same message in your body, your voice, and your language, they carry a completely different weight. They feel like ground under her feet rather than just sound in the air. The second mistake is using these words at the wrong moment. Timing is everything. I can't overstate this. I want and I appreciate are not phrases you scatter through every conversation like seasoning. They're phrases you use in strategic, intentional moments. When you want to establish direction, when you want to create an emotional memory, when you're at a point in an interaction where depth is appropriate. I had a patient, I'll call him Harold, 67, recently retired, who came back to me after trying this approach and said it felt awkward. When I asked him to walk me through how he'd used the phrases, he laughed and said he'd worked them into a conversation about the weather. That's not the technique failing, that's timing failing. These words land in meaning-filled moments. At the end of a wonderful evening, in a quiet pause when you're really connecting, when she's shared something real about herself and you want to honor it, those are the moments. Manufacture them or plant them deliberately, and everything shifts. The third mistake is confusing appreciation with flattery. This one is subtle and critically important. Flattery is general. You look amazing. You're so smart. These are observations, and they're fine, but they're not appreciation. Anyone can say them about almost anyone. Genuine appreciation is specific. It references something you have actually observed. I appreciate that you asked that question earlier. Most people wouldn't have thought to go that deep. I appreciate the way you listened when I was talking about that. You didn't try to fix anything. You just stayed with it. That's rare. Do you feel the difference? Flattery tells her what she looks like from the outside. Appreciation tells her you've been paying attention from the inside. And the reason this matters so profoundly is that most women have been complimented on their appearance their entire lives. It has almost lost meaning. But to be truly seen, to have someone reflect back an aspect of your character that you yourself might not have named, that reaches a part of the brain that surface compliments can never touch, avoid these three mistakes. No congruence, wrong timing, empty flattery, and the two words become genuinely powerful tools. Not manipulation, not tricks, but language that accurately represents who you really are. Now let me walk you through this practically, because theory without practice is just vocabulary. Imagine this scenario. You're at an event, a community gathering, a dinner party, it doesn't matter. You meet a woman, the conversation has been going well, there's warmth there, and you reach a natural pause. Most men in this moment either fill the silence nervously talking just to avoid the quiet, or they let the moment pass and the connection dissipates. But you're going to do something different. You're going to say something direct. I'd really like to continue this conversation. Are you free sometime this week? That's I want, in its simplest, most honest form. You're not asking her to decide everything. You're not saying, maybe we should hang out sometime if you want. You're naming what you want with enough clarity that she can respond genuinely, either yes or not right now. Both are valuable. What's not valuable is ambiguity that leaves both of you unsure of where you stand. Now, say the conversation continues. You go for coffee. The exchange is real. She tells you about her life, her perspective, something that surprises you. At the right moment, not forced, not rehearsed, just present, you say, I want to tell you, I really appreciate how clearly you think about that. I've talked to a lot of people about this topic, and nobody has framed it quite the way you did. What just happened? You've done three things simultaneously. You've named your desire to express something. You've offered genuine, specific appreciation. And you've communicated that you've been paying attention, that you were actually present in the conversation, not just waiting for your turn to speak. That combination, it's rare, and she will feel it. Now here's the advanced version, the emotional anchor. At the end of an evening that has genuinely been meaningful, before you part ways, you create the moment intentionally. You slow down, you let the noise of the environment settle, you make eye contact, and you say something like, "I want you to know I really appreciate this." Conversations like this don't happen often. I'll be thinking about this one. You've just done something neuroscientifically powerful. You've created a positive emotional anchor. Every time she thinks about that evening, and she will, the memory will carry the emotional signature of that moment, of being seen, of being appreciated, of being chosen not out of desperation, but out of genuine discernment. That's the kind of impression that doesn't fade. And here's what I want you to notice. None of this requires you to be perfect. You didn't need to be the tallest man in the room, the wealthiest, the most conventionally handsome. You needed to be present, intentional, and real. That's something every man reading this can do, at any age. Before we close out, I want to share one more thing, the part that I think matters most. And it has less to do with attracting a woman than it does with who you become in the process. Here's what I've seen in 12 years of working with men. The ones who show up for their health physically, emotionally, communicatively, don't just attract better relationships. They become better versions of themselves in every area of life. Their relationships with their children deepen, their friendships grow more honest, their sense of self becomes quieter, more settled, more sure. Because here's the truth. I want and I appreciate aren't just attraction tools. They are a philosophy, a way of moving through the world. I want says, I know myself. I'm not going to dissolve into whoever I think you need me to be. I am here, I have desires, and I'm not ashamed of them. I appreciate says, I see beyond myself. I value what's in front of me. I'm not so consumed by what I want that I forget to honor what I find. That balance between knowing your own worth and genuinely honoring others is the mark of a man who has done real inner work. And that, more than anything, is what attracts a quality woman. Not tactics, not lines, not performance, growth. If you're watching this at 55, 60, 65, or beyond, I want to speak to you directly. The season you're in is not a consolation prize. It is not the leftover chapter after the real story ended. The man you are right now, with the life you've lived and the wisdom you've earned, has a depth that younger men simply haven't had the time to develop yet. Don't apologize for your age. Don't compete with your younger self. Learn to speak from the fullness of where you actually are. And to every man who found this content today, I want you to know that I don't share this lightly. I share it because in 12 years, I have watched too many remarkable men shrink, quietly disappear from their own lives, go silent in their own stories. And I know that even small shifts in how we communicate two words, used with honesty and depth, can be the beginning of something much larger. So try it this week, in one conversation, with one person, not perfectly, just honestly. And then come back here and tell me what happened. If this video brought you something real today, a new idea, a shift in perspective, even just a moment of recognition, please hit the like button and share it with a man you know who might need to hear it. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Every week, I bring you content that's built on real science and real experience because you deserve information that actually serves your life. I'm Dr. Nerita. I'll see you in the next one. And remember, you are not at the end of anything. You are right now exactly where your best chapter begins.